Hey, welcome agents. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's super hot here in Hollywood. I got the AC rocking, so hopefully it's not too bad there in the background. I apologize if it is, and I probably won't even put up the video if that's the case. But moving right on into it. So with the release of the new BTSU gloves, or as I guess they're called the Black Tusk Service Unit gloves, something like that, but I've been referring to them kindly as the blow thyself up gloves. As any of you who have been playing with them know, you gotta be really careful with these things. It's really easy to take yourself down to nothing instantly. So if you guys have followed any of my other skill builds, primarily my explosive build, these things, these are a game changer for sure. I still have the full explosive build saved in my loadout. I assume that they will nerf these, and you'll see why in this. But until then, these are just too overpowered. Quickly go through it. So the skills that apply status effects have a 50% status effect duration and skill haste. So that's for my flame turret that we'll be using to proc the effect of infusion, which will then boost our seeker mine damage. The energy infusion, this is the big one right here. This is what really matters. So when you're applying a status effect, the gloves become infused. And infused, they gain plus everything I do gains plus 10% skill damage, skill healing, or skill duration for each utility that we have. And you'll notice, back up real quick, we're rocking 60. So that's 160 bonus, so 260% skill damage just right there, or skill duration, or skill haste. So, skill damage, skill healing, or skill duration. And then the last one, charge proxy, and this is the one why I refer to them as blow thyself up gloves. Whenever you throw a skill, 1.2 seconds later after landing, it creates an explosion that applies the effect. Well, see, and enemies affected take 50% more damage. Well, that also means you take 50% more damage. So two things about this. One is it says whenever you throw a skill, it should have a proximity that says if you throw a skill within the radius of the explosion, if you're in it, it should not activate. It's stupid that it lets you blow yourself up. Second of all, actually, I guess three things. Second of all, sometimes when I'm behind cover and I plant the turret right in front of me there, so I'm not throwing it, I'm planting it, it still treats it as if it's thrown and blows me up. And that leads to the third thing. At 1.25 seconds, it's alright, but I think they could make it 2 seconds. And that would give agents more time to get out of the way just in case. So let's get into the build itself. So obviously we're running Demolitionist for the 25% bonus explosive damage. Because we're running Demolitionist, we'll also be running the Demolitionist side on the Desero special. And that's because it comes with 2 holster perks in Rhythm and Wascally. In Rhythm, of course, every 60 seconds, it says kills, not weapon kills, but kills. So any one of the skill kills, the turret or the Seeker Mines or anything else can proc this. So that is basically a free cooldown right there. For the weapon, I never actually shoot this, but those of you guys that do, you may want to get yourself a marksman rifle or any weapon with spike. Headshot kills granted 35% skill damage for 20 seconds. That's actually a really good buff. So then, for the holster talent, we want rooted on here. Every, what is it? Oh, they changed it. It's not 30 seconds. Every 60 seconds now. That is f***ing weak. I didn't realize they made that change. So, alright, well, you learn something new every day. But that boosts skill damage. I do wish they would have a cooldown counter on this too, so you knew when it was going to proc. Sometimes I don't realize it's proc till it's almost gone anyway. One thing to note is you do want to have damage to elites on your scope and your muzzle for each weapon. That damage to elites affects your skill, so no matter what weapon you're holding, that will give you 10% bonus damage to elites. So the primary weapon I'm using, you can use whatever you want, but the 2 things I'm going for here is Perpetuation. Those grant 5% skill duration, ammo, and charges. Charges, mines count as charges, and they can, again, it's not weapon kills, it's kills, so Perpetuation is proc from both your turret and your mines. We want recharge, so, both of these, recharge while equipped. Skills deployed at full armor have 25% bonus duration, charges, and ammo. So both these 2 perks give me bonus duration, charges, and ammo. Let's see. I feel like there was something else. Oh, that too has the what's it called? damage to elites on it. So, real quick before I forget, I will notice this build does not have any healing. One thing I highly suggest is in any blue slot you have, we'll just take this one for here, let me, armor on kill, 3,500 armor on kill. That's a pretty good one. And even better than that, so I only have 2 defensive slots right now. If I had a third one, I would want a third one of these. And that one has almost 5,000 armor on kill. So every one of my mines to kill somebody, or I try to kill somebody, I get back a little over 8,000 armor. Given that I have 190,000, so that's almost 5% of my armor every time I get a kill. So that's the one way I try to maintain the recharge, because you know you'll have grenades thrown at you, fire, the Molotovs and stuff like that. You will take damage periodically, even if you always stay in cover. So it's good to have a way to get your health back. Moving on, we got the China. So the China and the Providence are interchangeable between the knee pads and the mask. Do whatever you want to do there. Big thing is you want to have skill power or skill haste, and you want to have damage to elites, and you want to have destructive. China Light gives you the 10% explosive damage. Providence gives you 10% skill power. So moving to the backpack, what you ideally want, and I happen to have it, you want the Alps Summit Element Outdoors rucksack. The reason why you want the Element Outdoors is because it comes with 2 utility mod slots on it. So that gives you a chance to squeeze in extra explosive or burn damage. Not to mention the fact 2 utility mod slots is 20% more damage to your skills when you are infused with the gloves. The chest, or sorry, this backpack also has the chance to roll 2 utility attributes. You want destructive on it, and there's an argument to be made between either skilled, which I prefer, or tech support. Tech support being kills by active skills grant plus 25% skill damage for 10 seconds. With the cooldowns I have, I could be using this, and that would be putting out more damage, but I do a lot of heroic solo content, and sometimes 3 seconds between cooldowns is the difference between the enemy breaking the distance and killing me. So I go with tech support, or sorry, I go with skilled, but tech support is definitely a viable alternative. Obviously we have BTSU gloves, we don't need to talk about that. The big thing is you do have 2 utility slots there, so that's 20% more to the infusion. And you have a defensive slot. Again, I recommend armor on kill. The chest piece, the ideal chest piece, if I happen to have one around here somewhere, yes I do, would be a Alps Summit reinforced utility vest. This would give you not only the skill haste from the backpack, but an additional plus 5% skill power. It gives you a utility slot, 2 defensive slots, so that's extra armor on kill you can get. You can get destructive on it, and then ideally it would have 2 attributes. Preferably a very high rolled skill power and a very low rolled skill haste. And the reason why the very low rolled skill haste, if you don't have this exact chest piece the way you want it, like exactly the way I said it, the next best would be to go with an ongoing directive. Not for the 2-piece bonus, but because ongoing directive can roll 2 yellow attributes and comes with 2 utility mods and a defensive mod. The big deal about the yellow attributes, ongoing directive is the only piece that can roll explosive damage as a native attribute. So ideally, I would have this chest piece here, instead of weapon damage, I would have a skill haste roll there, and then I would roll this 21% explosive damage onto this piece, which would give it destructive and 21 explosive damage for 41% native explosive damage. That's huge on the chest piece. Unless you get really lucky, and I'm not deluding myself thinking that's going to happen, that I'm going to get the chest piece with 2 yellows and destructive on it already natively, probably not going to happen. So I'm pretty much using this unless RNGesus blesses me. Moving on to our holster. this is another ongoing directive. This is actually, I think, best in slot. I don't think that there's another holster that currently exists in the game that would be better than this for this BTSU build. And the reason for that is because you can roll 2 yellow attributes and it comes with 2 utility slots. So that's 40% more infused damage. So, you also get the added effect of the weapon handling with 2-piece, but I would not worry about that. That does not matter. You want these 4 utilities. Lastly, we got the knee pads, and as I previously mentioned, the knee pads are interchangeable between the Providence and the China Lights, just depending on what you have where, what's a better roll. This one has the skill haste. The big thing is you want destructive on it. So what this ends up looking like on the stat screen is skilled. We end up with 4 destructives. Wait, is that right? No, sorry, 3 destructives for 60% destructive explosive damage. But remember, we have the 21% explosive that is on the chest piece natively. Weapons, so for the extra charges duration, we got perpetuation and recharge. For extra damage, we have spiked and rooted. For instant resets of skills, we have in rhythm and we have skilled. Yeah, skilled and in rhythm. And then just to show the stats real quick, our weapon damage, nothing to write home about. Offense, nothing to write home about. One thing we will note though, the 54% damage to elites and the 2% armor damage. That 2% armor damage is added to the equation after all other equations. So that's just an outright 2% bonus damage. Doesn't seem like a lot, but since it's added at the end of the equation, it's actually, it's something. And then 92,000 armor, 35,000 health. That's pretty much it. I would want to get as much health as possible, and believe it or not, the least amount of armor possible, the max amount of health possible. And the reason why is I want to get the armor on kill. The less armor I have, the easier it is to stay at full health, since I really shouldn't be taking damage anyway. Alright, and so, lastly, we will get into the skills before we go in and I show you what these can actually do. So what we're using to proc the infusion, we are using the incinerator turret with a damage mod, a skill haste mod, and a burn strength mod. I am hopefully looking forward to getting, I'll show you guys. So we got the skill haste here because there's nothing else that's better in this slot. If I can get burn damage there, burn strength there, I would definitely take it. Burn strength here. So you guys will notice I have 147 damage mod here. That adds the initial damage of the flame. I don't care about that. This burn, you'll notice if I take this off. So normally the burn damage is 10,000 per second for 6 seconds. With this burn strength, it's almost 19,000 for 9.5 seconds. So you want burn strength incinerator turret over damage in almost every case. I don't know if I can get burn strength here. I can cool this down, but my cooldowns are fast enough that I prefer the extra damage for the initial hit. If I do get a better damage mod, I will put it on, or preferably a burn damage. Alright, agents, so before we get into the mines, I figure it's probably a good idea just to show you what the turret can do. So now we'll blow that out. We got a little bit of infusion. Alright, so let's see if I don't kill myself with it. 2.57 times to kill. It's not very hard, so this is as hard as it gets. It tends to stay about 2.5. You can just see, I mean, it just, yeah. Now, for what does all the damage, I'm going to go through and show all you guys the different setups, but this by far is my favorite. Would be the 96% damage, 6 mines, and 172 skill haste, which give me 10 nines at 425,000 each with a 10-second cooldown. So first thing we're going to do is, this is Seeker Mine, no buffs, totally stock. Alright, this is infused and rooted. Next, we're going to try all damage mods. We have 96, a 90, and an 83. For 4 mines that do 645,000 each and an 18-second cooldown. Here's the stock mine. Do rooted, just the infusion. And the rooted infusion. So let's see what happens if we do maximum cooldown. Alright, so we have no cooldown there, so we'll do a damage mod there. We'll do 184% skill haste. And a 172% skill haste. Alright. So this is just stock, no infusion or rooted. Just rooted. Now we're going to go infused. Infused and rooted. Now we're going to go over maximum mines and 1 damage mod. So that's 2 + 6 extra mines and an 83% damage mod for about 410,000 per mine at 16 mines. Stock. Rooted. infusion. The rooted infusion. But this is my preferred, is to go with 6 mines, my 96% damage mod, and the 172 skill haste to bring my cooldown back down to 10 seconds. So this is 10 mines every 10 seconds for 425,000 each. That looks like stock